Hi, I'm Dave Upton, and today I'm going to do a different kind of demo. I'm going to show how I set my Helix up to send MIDI messages to change patches on my Fishman foot controller, and then take all of that sound back into the Helix through a looper and then blend it with some guitar sound as well, all in a few minutes. So might be irrelevant to some people, might be interesting to others. Enjoy. So what I've got today is the Helix plugged in through a standard DIN MIDI cable into the TriplePlay FC1 controller, which is a foot controller which has the wireless USB connector which is taking a signal from the guitar. This is then out through another MIDI cable, and that is going all the way over to this little baby here, which is the Roland JV 1080, a 90s thing apparently. So anyway, for all of those that think that hardware synths are a thing of the past, well, they are. But it's well worth having one, so there we are. So the way the signal's coming from the guitar is the main guitar is going down through this Variax cable into the top of the Helix, into the Variax socket, and that allows the Helix to control the guitar and the various guitar models that we have. And then the MIDI pickup is going through the TriplePlay, and that is going through the air wirelessly into the receiver that's plugged into the foot pedal. So let's start off with the problem I'm trying to solve. I've got this wonderful foot pedal that allows me to cycle through all the patches, and that's sending a MIDI message out to my MIDI module telling it to change patch, which is all very well. The only thing is that if I'm in the middle of a tune and I want, let's say, patch number 1 for the first part of the tune, and then I want patch 35 for the next part, and I want patch 100 for the next part, then doing this between patches is really quite tedious, of course. So what I can do with the Helix is I can set up different buttons to change sound. So you can see the whole piece going on here, and actually if I use the mode button to enable my bottom row as well, I can add some more. So isn't that clever? So that is fantastic, because I can create a patch in my Helix which is all set up for the song that I'm playing, and then I can set up various MIDI message buttons to send changes out to my Fishman TriplePlay foot controller, and that can then send those onwards to my MIDI module, in this case the JV 1080. Okay, so let's have a little look at how you set up these MIDI messages on the Helix. So it's really simple. You start off by pressing this button here with the 3 dashes on, and that will pop up these choices at the bottom here, and you literally just hit the command center button. If you're anything like me, you probably spent the first year that you got your Helix wondering what that button did. Anyway, that allows you to set up different messages or actions to be sent from these buttons. And in this example here, what I'm doing is, you can see bank and program here, so you can turn this button to set this in the first place. I can choose a MIDI channel, although I can just default to my standard, which seems to work perfectly okay with the Fishman. And then I can use these two to select banks. on my Fishman. So what I might do is have this on a 0 or have it on a 1. And that generally deals with the first 128 sounds, and then the next set of sounds. The Fishman doesn't go up to twice that, but you just work with what you've got here. So that's fairly typical as far as this kind of bank change messaging. And a bank is a whole group of preset sounds. So I can then cycle through the preset sounds using the program here, and I can use my separate TriplePlay software to set up the different settings and patches that I want to send to my JV 1080, and then I can control them from here. So I can put all my favorite things in the TriplePlay, and then all the messaging and the bank control is this controlling the TriplePlay, not this controlling the JV 1080. So I'll set those to whichever I want, and that now will use that button there, which is this button down here, to send message 26 for patch 26, and that will change on the TriplePlay. And I can program different ones. See, I've got them all programmed differently, and you might ask why I've got 00 on some. That's because that's the first 128 patches that are available on my Fishman, and then the 81 is the next set of patches. So I can move around using the controller here, and I can set any of these up to make these changes, and then I can hit these buttons and that will send changes out to the Fishman, and I'll get all of these patches within this one patch on the Helix. Just a bit of an aside, up here as well, these kind of lightning shaped signs, you can actually also program these. So I could say I'm going to do bank and program 00, and then automatically go to patch 14, and what that does is that sends that message as soon as you switch to this particular preset on your Helix, rather than you having to press any of these buttons to do it. So what you'll find with that is if all you want is one synth sound for that particular patch on a preset on your Helix, then you can just set it up there, and I do that for some of mine. If I want to be able to use 2 or 3 different synth sounds during a song on one particular preset, then I'll set the buttons up to do that, and just like your normal patch stomp pedal assignment, you can just touch these and it will switch to that one, and then you can use this to customize the name on the scribble strip to match what you want to come out on your Fishman. Now the next thing that I wanted to show you is, because I'm using a Line 6 Variax JTV 59 guitar as well, what I've done in this particular preset on my Helix is I'm using the mode to allow me to switch between all of the stomp pedals and snapshot mode being set up on the bottom row here. So that means that what I can do is I can set my first snapshot to be the Midi only. So what that's doing is that's driving from the guitar to the TriplePlay. The TriplePlay is sending those Midi notes out to the JV 1080, and that is coming back in through the input path here. So if I go along here, you can see that I use the return 1 and 2, which I've got the synth module plugged into here. And when I'm on this snapshot, what I'm doing is I've got the guitar coming in the top, and I'm using a volume block set to 0 to block out the guitar. And then I'm turning this on so that my signal is coming in from here, from the returns and along, and I can capture it in the looper. On the other 3 buttons I've got different guitars because I can do that because I've got a Variax. So if I go to snapshot 2, let's say, you'll notice that this block is now bypassed, which means there's no synth coming in, and this block that was blocking the guitar on a 0% volume is now also bypassed, which means the guitar can come through the channel. And also if I go up and select the Variax here, you may be able to see that I've got Les Paul P90 in there with the square brackets. So you push down and turn to set a different guitar for each snapshot. And if I go to the next snapshot, I've got an acoustic D12, which is the Martin acoustic, and the next one is a Tele neck pickup. So 3 different guitars on 3 snapshot buttons, and then the whole of Midi. And I can switch back in, so I can go Midi, and then I can open up all these other sounds. So I've now got 3 guitars, and I've got all of these synth sounds set up, and I can push all of that into my looper and layer that one on top of the other.